Hello my lovely ravens, welcome back to my channel. My name is Chantel and today we're going to make some journals. In my last video I showed you how to make these ones and other paper clips as well, and in this video we are going to make these kind of journals. And I will show you this one. I'm just going to take this off and take this paper out. So it has a wraparound closure, opens this way. It has lace on this side. It has fabric and sewing. Sewing is optional. It folds open like this. And then it has one signature, which is a block of paper on the inside. And on the inside you can also see that this pattern comes back in the background. And then it has just random pages throughout the journal with also some sticker embellishments. So I will leave a link in the description box below of the material list that you need. I have a few materials here on the table, which is leftover papers, lace, thread for binding, some fasteners, some charms for the journals, strips of sheet that I coffee dyed. So I coffee dyed a big sheet, and then I just tore strips that are about an inch or just over an inch wide. I have tissue and tissue paper, so it doesn't matter which one you have, as long as you've got that crinkly kind of wrapping tissue paper, or a napkin with a pattern on it that you like, some coffee or tea dyed pages. Again, this can also be just white paper, my glue, and if you look up the material list below, you can in the link below, you can see what other materials you need for this, because it is a craft along. So if you want to craft along this time, you can find the list first, then gather all your materials, and then get started. So I'm going to tidy this all up. So I just have my craft mat, grab a piece of paper and some tissue, and then we'll get started. So because I can fit 2 A4 sheets of paper on my craft mat, I can do both at the same time. So first I'm going to take this napkin, unfold it, and then I want to take all the layers that are behind off. A quick and easy way to do this is grab some tape, stick it to the back and pull. And this is how you separate that backing from the front. I try to reuse these napkins for other projects, so I'll be careful not to tear it. And then I think there's another layer here. I'm going to do that same thing again. And there we go. Yours might even be 4-ply, which is unlikely, but this is the backing of that now single sheet of tissue, and that's what I'm going to use. On the inside, I can even use this or on tags, because this even has a pattern as well. How cool is that? So for later, just gonna refold that. I have a whole drawer of tissues, also with these white tissues, because they make very nice textures. And you can see that this covers my paper quite nicely. And now for the tissue paper, if you're working with that, you don't need a lot of it. This is one sheet. I only need half the sheet. So what I will do is going to cut that in half. And I will still have plenty left over here to put on the inside as well, because we're going to use everything that is overhanging or overlapping on the inside of our journals. So now Put those away. I'm gonna grab a brush. I just do use a very coarse brush for this. Nothing fancy. And this is my 50/50 PVA water mixture. Or wood glue, you can use wood glue as well. Going to cover the whole sheet. Making sure I get all the edges. Once that's all covered, I will grab the tissue to start with. You're gonna lay that as best as you can on the paper. Just gonna pat it down. You're gonna apply another layer of that glue. You have to be gentle because it is wet tissue now and it can tear easily. And wrinkles are fine. You will always get wrinkles with this technique. Go slow, not too fast. You're not here to win a race. And let the glue go over the edges just a little bit so you're sure that all the edges are covered with the glue and the tissue. And if you don't have a craft mat, some baking paper or even tin foil will work just fine. There we go, that's the first one. Now for the other one, because this is so smooth and it has some folds in it, I'm just gonna scrunch it up first and then glue it on. And the more you do this, the more wrinkles you'll get. And the softer and paper or tissue like it becomes. Also, I do want wrinkles in there and that's why I'm doing that. Just stretching it out a little bit. Now you can see that it has that texture. Just like tissue. Going to do the same thing again. Cover the whole sheet in the mixture. And now I'm going to apply that tissue. You can pull that to the sides a little bit if it has too much air pockets or too many wrinkles. You can stretch it a little bit. It's a little bit stronger than the tissue, the actual tissue. But these results are very similar that you'll get. And now we're gonna cover the entire thing in the PVA mixture again. So the PVA I'm using is just white school glue or Elmer's glue. Something like that. You can also use wood glue. Wood glue is a little bit more expensive, but the one I'm using is PVA Kids School Glue. And there we have it. I am just gonna quickly dry these with a blow dryer. You can also leave them to air dry. It's up to you. And I will be back when they're dry. Okay, the next step would be taking that script and some leftover bits and pieces of paper. I can see that in here there are some gold dotted, I think that was just wrapping paper. There's some dictionary stuff, there's some sheet music, brown paper, all kinds. And I'm just going to make like a patchwork here. So I want to use this because this is the part from the front and I want that to come back in the inside cover. So I'm just gonna tear this into little bits. They can be as big or as small as you want. I'm just gonna start by covering the entire thing again with the mixture. And I want those pieces of tissue to show mostly, so I'm going to layer them last. So from some sheet music, I'm just gonna tear these pieces. Letting them overlap on the sides as well, and at the end we're just gonna trim off the excess. And then in between, you want to keep applying that stuff over the pieces you just laid down. And this does take a little bit of time, but it will be really, really nice in the end. And you need this to build up that cover, so you have more strength in the final piece. This is a piece of dictionary paper, I think. It was just the first page of the dictionary. So you can have the word showing or just the blank other side. Oh, there's words on both pages, but there's some blank as well there. That adds a little bit of interest. Of course, you can also apply a different kind of tissue paper, like with birds or flowers, whatever you want really. Or just entire book pages if you want to make it quick and easy. And this wrapping paper, I do like the golden dots. I'll just throw some of that in there too. I'm normally not one that uses a lot of wrapping paper in their journal, but you know, this is pretty. So now this is mostly covered. I want to start with the tissue paper and fill in the gaps where I haven't put any papers yet. Just picking it up and applying that. Just tapping all those pieces down now and having a look where there's still gaps. Just making sure that I've got all that paper covered with something. And if I still have some gaps, I just go back to the paper and cover some more with that. And I think this is it for this part. So now I'm gonna give it a good dry. And then after that, you can still add more. You can add some stickers. You can add faux stamps with washi tape. You can add actual stamps. You can add ink stamp. I think there's enough black in here. What else can you add? Fabric. So yeah, I'm just gonna dry it though, because I think mine is done here. And then we're gonna move on to the next part. Okay, so I've cut around the edges and it's all neat and tidy. This one is all done and you can still see that gold shimmer in that wrapping paper, which I really like. So let's move on to the second one, which is this one. I'm going to do the same thing, just going to use this paper obviously instead of the letters, because this is the one from the front here, and I'm going to do the same thing. And I think I'm actually going to use this paper again because I do like it. So the next step will be folding it and rounding the corners. Rounding the corners is optional, but obviously you need to fold your journal in order to make it into a journal. So like I've done with these ones, I want a little bit overhang, and then this folds in. So I think I want the pattern to go up like that. So make sure that if you have a pattern on there, that it goes the right way. Fold it to about, well, I say to about there, but it depends if you're using A4 or no, A4 letter size. I am using A4 and I have about 4.5 centimeters or 1 3/4 of an inch here. And I'm going to leave about 1/2 inch and then fold that back on itself. Like that. It's kind of cool that the pattern kind of matches up. Kind of, sort of. Not quite, but it's pretty cool. So now, as you can see, that this doesn't completely touch there, and that's what I want. You want that little bit of extra space, just in case you have any tags sticking out like that one. So you want that little bit of extra space. And then, this is what you need the bone folder for, to really get that crease in. And then this is optional. I like to round my corners, so that didn't do anything. That didn't do anything either. I really suck at rounding my corners. I don't know why. That's better. Probably just need to look at the bottom. If that corner is actually in. And I like to round my corners just so it gives a little bit of a softer edge, a softer look. And you can also just put a coin on the corner and cut around the coin. Now this one is a little bit more matte than this one because this was the tissue paper, so it gives a bit more of a shiny finish over the matte finish. But I'm really happy with what this looks like. And if you wanted to have this on the inside, this pattern, and this pattern on the outside, you can easily just fold it this way if that's what you prefer. It's all up to you. But we're getting somewhere. So next is you want to take your glue stick. If you're gonna sew, I am going to sew because that's what I like to do with these journals. It makes them very strong. So coming back to this one, I'll fold this open. You can see where I've sewn. So first of all, I'm going to attach these ones with my glue stick to the 2 spines. I say 2 spines. This is the spine and this is the other fold part. So the parts that fold, that's where I'm going to add that fabric to give it more strength and to make this last a long time. And I'm going to wrap that all around. In a minute I'll show you how to do that. And then after that I'm going to sew down and down, down here and down there, and then all around to put this all in, keep this all into place, and to again give it more strength. Because this almost feels like, I don't know, it feels like a fabric. It's really weird how this feels, but it's really nice. It's a really nice feel. And then after that, we're gonna do the closure and whatnot. So first, I'm going to attach these 2, then the lace, because I want to add lace as well, and then I'm going to sew. The lace is also optional, and the fabric I would recommend, but it's optional for sewing. If you don't want to sew this, you can attach that with Fabri-Tac glue. This is not Fabri-Tac glue, this is my Click water. This is Fabri-Tac glue, it's also clear. So yeah, then you need a more permanent bond, because I don't think that this will last the test of time. But with sewing, it doesn't matter. It will stay in place with sewing. So let's attach that to both journals. I'll show you one strip and then I'll do the rest off camera. With my glue stick, I'm going to attach that apply that to the strip. And I'm going to lie that flat and check where the middle is of my fold. Make sure that goes in the middle of the strip. And this is optional as well. You can do it with a bone folder, but I normally have my brayer. I give it a good roll. Gluing this down. Then before I glue it, I measure it with my scissors. Pick that up and attach that there. A bit of a squash. You can see that it hangs over a little bit. That is it, and then make sure that everything in that fold sits properly before you fold it back. Make sure it lines up. And you can give it a roll or a rundown with the bone folder, like so. And there's one fold done, which is very strong and reinforced because it's fabric. I'm going to do this for the other fold and for these two folds, and then I'm going to sew that down. Just like I said, before I sew that down, I will attach lace as well. Yeah, so I will attach lace now so I can sew it down all together, and I can show you the lace before I continue. I'm not going to show you how I'm sewing because it's just, you know, straight up and down. It's really not hard. Just make sure that you don't sew in the middle. Just sew that part and that part. So what lace am I going to use for this? Something pretty. One of my patrons sent me this, which I'm very grateful for. Sent me like 10 packs of the black lace. It's awesome. So this, however, I'm going to attach with just a very, very thin layer of Fabri-Tac glue. It just needs to be kept in place. That is all. Wiping it down with my finger even. I'm gluing that on the inside of that small flap. This can be anything. This can be it can be lace, it can be ribbon, it can be pom-poms if you have those. It can be anything. So just a very, very thin layer of glue. Just going to glue this part down as well, because I don't want that little edge to stand up. But seriously, the minimal amount of glue here. And you can also use PVA glue for this, but it will dry a bit more slowly. This is like, it just dries so fast. So when you now close it, you will see that little edge of lace there. So I'm going to do the same for this fold and then also for the other journal, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I've sewn all around and on the fabric parts. You can see that I've sewn on that side and not on the fold itself. Same here. And I've also sewn the lace on. So now it is a cover good to go for binding. Same for this one. Same technique as with these ones. So now we're gonna make that closure. For that you will need 2 circles, and this can be chipboard or cardboard, something like that. You punch a hole in the middle and then you put one of those brads through, or paper fasteners. These ones are a bit too long, so I've got some sprue cutters. Just snip off those ends and then it will fit. Just put it through both of them and then close it, and you have a closure. Now I will attach that with hot glue because it's fast, easy, and it will stay. So bring you a little bit closer. We'll put the closure somewhere in the middle. Apply some hot glue. Be careful because that metal will get hot too. And apply it to the journal. Just make sure that you are aware of that metal brad or paper fastener because it really does get hot. Same for the other one. We need some thread. So this is crochet thread, but you can also just use some metal cord like I've used here. You see that? Metal cord. And a little charm at the end. I will do that with this one too. So you just leave it on the coil. And then underneath the first one, you're going to put that thread. You're gonna tie a knot. Oops. Up until the metal. And another one. And then the end, I'm gonna snip that off. I will do that with the sprue cutters because I can get a little bit closer and underneath. And then this, you will wrap around as many times as you like. Just make sure that this stays free because you're gonna then wrap this around again and down and cut it off. I left it a little bit longer because I want to make a charm there. I think I'm gonna use the gold ones for this one, and then my Alice ones for this one. So I've got like a bunny, a clock, and a key. And for this one, I've got a turtle, a sea star, or a starfish, a sea star, a starfish, and a shell. So I think I will go with maybe the turtle. Just gonna put 2 knots in and then that's that. There's a little charm there. Oops. Dangling off there. And you can wrap this around a few more times if you want to have it shorter. There we go. And then these 2 are for the closure on the inside. So this part that's hanging out, that is the closure. And you can just dangle some charms off that. So this is the entire outside of a journal, and that's how easy it is. Now you can also wrap it like this, that it goes up and down. But then you still have the option to also go around if you want. Would be a bit more wrapped, but there we go. It has multiple functions, that wrap. And with these ones are This is just 2 of them wrapped around, same idea. And then 2 charms there. So that's fairly easy. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. And then we're gonna work on the interior. I kind of want to make journal, how do you call them? Journal cover tags, things at the front. Seriously don't know how to call them, but want the word journal on there. Or at least I want to have like a placeholder there. So from a scrap piece of paper, this one will probably, no. It'll probably be nice on both either. I need to grab my ink and my punch because I want to punch those corners. Like so. Might just have that sitting there, even though this goes over there. That's fine. So, just make 2 of those for both journals. This can also be done with a hole punch or with a decorative corner punch or just rounding the corners or even just leaving it as is. Then behind it, I can put some, so this is some of that thread that was left over from my sewing. And this is some of the thread that was left over from the calico fabric. I think this is nice there and this would be nice there. Can even put some calico behind it, maybe not. Some of this funky fabric. I think that was from a scarf. It's perfect for this kind of stuff. So what I can do, if I have it on my craft mat, so some of that, and then grab the hot glue. That should grip or grab a lot of that stuff. Just press it down, it's really hot. Because I have the craft mat underneath, it doesn't matter if it sticks because it will come right off. Leave that to sit there. The same for the other one. You can also back that with some paper if you like. What I also want to do is put some breads in here. So on either side, just marking that so I can punch it, put the bread in there, fold those bits open, and we can glue that on. It's really cool. And you can even put it that way if you like. But I like it here. So I'm going to attach that with some hot glue. Again, this is optional. You don't have to do this, but this is like, you can put your name on there or whatever the subject is, or just journal, whatever really. And it adds some texture, which is nice. I'm going to do the same thing for the other one. Okay, these 2 are now done. I'm going to gather the papers that I want inside. So what I did with the other ones was, let's have a look. Some dictionary paper, some tea, coffee dyed paper, music paper, some more dictionary paper, different language, brown paper, more dictionary paper in French. This is index paper from an atlas, and that's it. So I'm just gonna grab some papers, and if you're crafting along, you're probably gonna do the same. And I'll see you back when I've got everything. You can also just use printer paper, so the tea and coffee stained paper are just printer paper, and use that, or you can use sketchbook paper, whatever you want your one signature journal to be. So I'll be back soon. Okay, so I've got some papers collected here. What I've got is some English Dutch dictionary paper, some normal English dictionary paper, 2 different ones, sheet music, some tea-dyed things to do pages, which will go in this way. So it's just a little bit of interest. Normal tea-dyed papers. I think 2 per journal. I'm making 4 on the side, so 4 in total. You only see 2 in this video, but I'm making 4. And some index pages from an atlas. So next you're going to fold them in half per category. So that's one. You always want to make sure that those folds are crisp. Just going over with the bone folder. These are already folded. And you're just going to continue that for all your papers. And then you will make stacks of all the different ones that you've got. Now I've got all the papers in their own little stacks. I am going to make a signature for each of the journals. So what I'll start with is some sheet music, then perhaps one of this one, then a larger one, then add more interest, and one of these, a plain one again, one of these, and a smaller one. And you can put this in any order that you like. And stagger them as well if you like they don't have to line up specifically. And then you want to grab your journal and see how that fits. Now you can see that there's some overhang here. So either with scissors or a ruler, you're going to put that right underneath this, because you want to have that just underneath there ever so slightly. And then you're gonna either cut or just tear that off, and that's done. Now it does fit in, so I don't have to trim the top and the bottom. And that is basically the signature ready to be sewn into the journal. Of course, you can add more pages at this point if you like, if you're still not happy with what it looks like. I'm pretty happy with this, so I'm just gonna distribute the pages and make it a little bit more interesting, so when you open it, it's not all lined up, but a bit more playful. Once you've settled on what you want the interior of your journal to look like, you can go ahead and start stitching. So because this is one signature, you can just stitch on the spot without having to poke holes first and then measuring everything out. What I like to do is grab some paper clips and clip them on the signature. So you open it in the middle and then you clip it. Reason for that is that nothing shifts whilst you're handling your journal. And also so you know that this is the way it will stay if you've placed pages just like this. Then you need your thread. I'm going to use the same stuff here. You're going to make it 1, 2, 3 lengths of your journal. That should be enough for this signature. Then thread it. Once your needle is threaded, you're going to decide where you want the final knot to be. I want that to be on the inside, so I'll start on the inside. If you want to have that knot hanging on the outside, then you start on the outside. We'll start in the middle, and I'll still need a pokey tool for this because I'm not strong enough with that needle. There we go. And you're gonna go to about there, so you've got a little tail hanging there. What you might want to do also is make sure that it goes outside of the journal, so you know that you can hang your little charms on it. Then you're gonna poke another hole. It does not really matter where. You can measure this out, but I'm just gonna poke all of them. So that's about 1.5 inches, about 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches, and 1 inch. As for distances, you're gonna go in there. Now you've made 1 stitch. Go into the next one. Come back through that one. And what we're doing here is a pamphlet stitch. And you're gonna go over that and go to this hole. And down through the outside to the inside. Back through this one. And then back through the middle one. And this one hangs on this side of this thread, and this one should come on the other side. So you can take the needle out. Don't pull too hard, just hard enough so it's all nice and snug. And then you're gonna make a knot, and then you have your signature in. Take those paper clips off. And we have a signature. How easy was that? If you want to work your journal in a little bit, you just go through the journal like that. Just fold in the pages as you go. Now, if you're wondering, there's a lot of text everywhere. You can stick photos, you can treat it with gesso and paint over it. Heck, you can just paint over the image, the text as well. You can write in between the lines. You can just write over the top of it with a big marker. Whatever you like. Let your imagination just run wild with this. You can fold this up to have pockets. You can fold this back to have another pocket like so. You can make another pocket here. Another pocket there. You can just put stuff in there if you want. Possibilities are endless, but this is how to make a one signature journal. Well, this is one of the many ways, because obviously there are many ways to do this. And you can have this as long or as short as you like. Now the only thing left is put the charms on. And here are the final 2 journals. As you can see, I added the little charms at the end here and here as well. I hope you enjoyed this little craft with me and being able to make your own journal now. You probably were able to anyway, but I hope you like this craft with me. Eventually these journals will be for sale in my shop once I get my website up and running. But for now, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, hit the like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and I'll see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.